Good afternoon and welcome to the daily wrap-up with ForexAnalytix. And we're still seeing another quiet session, really after the fireworks that we saw from Friday and then rolling into the Sunday session. Things have quieted down quite a bit, right from the get-go. Actually, once we got into the U.S. session yesterday, it was staying relatively quiet. Seeing pretty much the same thing. The euro is under 111. The big concern that we have with the euro, and I mentioned that yesterday, and I mentioned it on the European crossover webinar. The bears still remain in full control. We need a daily close above 1154, and actually the Sunday session, it was really a bit surprising when you look at some of the moves that we saw here. And I'll give you an example. Let me see, we're looking here on let's move this here, get a little bit closer look here. So we're looking here, let's make it apples for apples instead of apples for oranges. We're looking at 2-hour chart. So, we saw that big move on Friday, fantastic. And here's the opening in the Sunday session. I mean, it looks like more like a North Korean missile launch here, pretty much a thud. And then let's go and take a look here, and I'll give you an example of what I'm referring to. Now, here's the move against the Aussie. Look at this thing. It screamed like a freaking rocket. You see what I'm saying? Here's a move against the New Zealand dollar. Same thing. Pretty good, challenging run up here. And I mean, those are against those two currencies which were already, open to slide, although we've seen the market pair back in rather quickly. We saw the same thing here after even with the move with the yen, which was so strong, we saw a pretty good snapback here in the euro versus the yen. So when you look, here, we just never really got off. I thought we would, at the very least, certainly we weren't going to have the kind of moves that we saw against the Aussie or the Kiwi, or maybe even after it had quieted down. Even the yen, we saw a pretty good bounce back against the, with the euro yen at the time. But holy smokes, I would have expected us to at least challenge 112, in the Sunday session. And we just barely blipped above this 1160. And last week, I was long euro, and I actually spent a good part of the week underwater. But I thought by the time we got to Powell speaking, and before he got to speak, right about the time he would be speaking, I would have thought that we would have already pressed up against this level around the 1160-ish area here. Obviously, the euro continued to weaken. We saw quite a bit of short covering here, and I thought we would have seen, once again, I thought that this is probably where we would have been coming into Jackson Hole right on the cusp of Friday, and then we could have pushed higher. But obviously, the market went a completely different direction. We continue to see this dreadful news out of Germany, which is another reason why I mentioned in the chat room today, I'm not advocating selling the euro at this moment. But the thing is that the bears are selling this euro with impunity. I mean, it's like, it basically like, bring it on. You can't touch me. You're not going anywhere. You're going to 108. Dream on if you think you're going to 112 or something like that. And I mean, that might be a bit of an exaggeration, but the point is I've seen, like I said, that type of confidence, and I mean, they're voting with their pocketbook. And the thing is, when we came in on Sunday and I saw this, I thought, well, this is a bit surprising. And I thought to myself, it almost looks like a little bit of a sell. Although we only dipped to about, at the time I mentioned yesterday, but to 1138. Then we bounced back up to 1141. And then I think we did make one more push above 1150 before we started sliding. Went until into the European session, we'd already slid. By the time I came in for the European crossover webinar, we had already slid, and I think we're right at, well, actually, when we came on, that's when we came in with our bias chart support was going to be 1113. And we came down as low as 1110. At the very least, we should have seen a dead cat bounce back up into the 40s, at least shake some of the, the the limbs here, spook a couple of shorts thinking, man, that was my opportunity to get out. I should have got out. Instead, it was the old commercial, I've fallen and I can't get up. And so we're pushing lower. Now, it's true we're not accelerating, but we've lost to 111 and we're still staying lower. And once again, I'm not saying, okay, so let's sell the euro, with vengeance. But the point is until we can get above 1154, and I said that same thing yesterday, the bears remain in full control. I mean, 1154, that will serve notice for the bears. It will spook them. They'll think, oh, wait a minute, maybe there's something a little bit more than this behind this. But that being said, even then, the way this euro has had the opportunity to really react yesterday and failed to do that and quickly gave back all these gains, and not only gave back most of these gains, we're sub 111 right now. Well, you know what? If someone's short euros and they really think that we're going to go to 108, and I know some people that are convinced we're going to 108, well, they're probably just going to say, well, you know what? No problem. I'll reload again. It's going to fail. It fails every time. And I've made the case, I mentioned it late last week, is, look, it's a junk currency. There's no doubt about that. There's a reason why this market, and I made that case last week, is why it stays so low. And it's basically a failed experiment, this whole Eurozone. And I don't want to get on a big old macro kick. But the thing is the proof's in the pudding. You see the numbers. I mean, if there's the opportunity for the euro to gain or move higher, it's given every opportunity to do that. And it just simply fails every time. We fall down here and we fail, at above 1550. We fall down again and we fail at down 1450. Fail again, we fall at 14. Fall again, we fell at 12 and 12 and a third, basically. Fall again. And so each, what's the definition of a downtrend line? Each subsequent high is that much lower. And you're seeing that. And it just keeps playing itself out, here to 1550, to 1450, to 1420, to 1285, to 1220, it's just, and now 14, right here at 1160. And so with Germany, we continue to see real bad German data, and it's pretty much, you can basically put a stamp on that. Germany will have a recession, the textbook recession, 2 consecutive quarters of declining growth. We're going to go and see that. There's no doubt about that. So the euro is going to have a tough time trying to gain. Now, we've seen all kinds of talk where the euro can rally, but it hasn't proven itself here, and it continues to be under siege. Now, once again, this is the last week of August. A lot of traders on holiday. Something may turn around, but you know what? How many times have we been waiting for something? It's the boy that cries wolf. It's going to turn around here. It's going to turn around here. It's going to turn around here. Heck, last week I bought it myself thinking, oh, well, it's going to turn around here. And it really wasn't so much, as I said, for the last few weeks, a play about the euro. Is more or less about what was going to happen with the dollar. Problem is that with interest rates, the U.S. yields are basically the only game in town. So this dollar is going to continue to have this undertone bid. It's had the opportunity, and we'll move to the cash dollar index. And like I said, because it's so slow, that's been kind of given a broader focus. But, we saw this decent little sell-off, and really this part below 60, that happened like late in the day. This happened last time, a Friday before then. I think that was here. It just dropped. So really the real area was trading right there at that 97.60. But the thing is, it's popped back up, and it's had every reason to fail, and it simply won't fail. Same thing. I question how much higher it could go and move, but it may be forced to move higher when the euro comprises 56% of the cash dollar index, and the euro just turns around and sinks again. And I think this time, if the euro sinks again, we're coming up to some resistance here in the peso at 20.05. And that's also going to be we'll pull this up. I don't want to jump all over the place, but we're almost there. Let's quickly move into that. So our bias chart resistance is 20.05, and you can see the 78% is at 20.05.8. So we're coming, close here. I don't know if anybody's playing the peso long. May want to go on and lighten up a little bit here. I just want to go and touch on that since we're right there at this point here. yesterday, and just to come back to the peso on a little bit broader look on the daily, coming into the Sunday session, we came right here into that zone. And you can see we're coming right into the zone. The zone is actually 2006 to 2011, and 20.058, we're 20.053. 20.058 is the 78%. So here's that zone. May have a little bit of a tough time, but don't forget, we know that the peso's on the screaming buy, but it may want to take a little bit of a pause here. We shall see. We've actually took a pause around the 20.01 here in the peso and kind of paired back just a bit, and we're reasserting ourselves. So you may want to let it push and see if it get some stops, and if there's anything beyond these stops, and then if you want to try and pair back, but we shall go and see. But the thing is, once again, like I said, with this euro, hey, look, even if the euro pops back, and I was fortunate to be able to get out of my longs and make a few bucks, considering I was really in some bad shape come the time Friday came around. But I thought, okay, I'm just going to hang on. If it closes below 10.20, I'm just going to have to get out. That's it. Take a pretty good hit. But like I said, maybe because of that, I watched this thing literally in disgust as it just kept going lower and lower. I'm thinking, wait a minute, Jackson Hole, there's a strong possibility that Powell will go on and offer the potential for additional rate cuts, and he did. But like I said, even then the euro continued to remain under pressure until there was a thought Trump was saying he had basically something up his sleeve, and people thought he might take some action against the dollar, and that sent the euro screaming, along with we already had been at this key level for support. So that added. But once again, that's why I was glad to get out. I'm thinking, well, I think we can push higher, but I think I've gotten what I can. If it gets any higher, fine. We'll see next week. And next week didn't give you much. All we did was turn around and give up all the gains, and here we are, sub 111. So just want to go on and touch base on that. Let's go on and move into one of the markets that's actually moving quite a bit. Is right here with gold. And gold, after setting itself up where it looked like it might pair down, and really we've got a bit of a, what some people might think is a conundrum with the dollar moving higher. But remember, we've said that gold hasn't been reacting to the dollar. There's bits and pieces where you can say, oh, yeah, it did. But really, when we talked about that, remember, look at the rates right here with 10-year yields. See how they're falling? That's what's pushing the gold higher. Because like I said, gold would react sometimes, but not that often. What we talked about the last couple of months is that this break in rates is really going to send gold higher. We'll see if we can push beyond this, but this is a pretty good level right here at 15, basically 1544. See if we can push beyond that. And we're getting a little extra juice too with the S&P sliding, which is actually offering a little bit here at the peso. Now the peso actually has just turned around and did a quick about face. Let's get back to the main screen. Right here. You can see here, we just tagged the 20.05 right here. We actually even got above it. I think we were at, at 25.3, and now we've dipped. Not a whole lot. I'm just saying is that we're not even blasting past the stops. We're easing back. So once again, if anyone with long may want to take a little bit off the table right there, but we came right into that buy chart resistance and paired back. But gold, like I said, it's going to be interesting if we can keep an eye on that on the spot gold. It's at 1543.5. If we can get above a 2-hour close above 1544, then that'll really open the door for us to push somewhat higher. The dollar's kind of just hanging right here, this 97.96. We have resistance here at 98.18. And let's see, across the board, dollar yen is starting to slide back again. We did move up a little bit and starting to slide back. I'm keeping it pretty quiet because, once again, I was looking for a little bit more action. And I'm kind of going like what Blake had mentioned on the the week ahead video, and that this might be a slow week. So I've seen a couple of things. Here was the bias chart resistance here in the dollar CAD. We had come off close to the 38% on this pullback. So once again, I thought we could maybe push a little bit higher, but I thought we might pare back just a bit. We came off a little bit, but not that much. The only other one I would give of substance to keep your eye on is here with the cable. This 23.24. right there is also 23.37 is going to be this the 23% of the entire move back. You can see right here from 2015 to 33.83. So pretty good move here. I think we'd find some resistance there, at least people laying off some longs that may have come in. Certainly we have the opportunity to move higher. But as I mentioned here is, to me, the big story is here is with the euro, its inability to follow through on what we saw a phenomenal turnaround on Friday. But that phenomenal turnaround was more about people getting spooked because they thought Trump was going to do something with the dollar. When he mentioned Powell doesn't know what he's talking about, he doesn't know what I've got planned. And so the thought was, uh-oh, now he's going to take action against the dollar. But so once again, it was kind of, in a sense, an artificial move, but it was a great move nonetheless. So, okay, now we gave you the push in the car. Now it's time for you to generate your own momentum. And the euro simply can't do it. It's turning around and falling right back on its face. So, and with the exception of a couple of pairs like the peso here or the cable, I don't really see anything that's really moving of any real significance. They're not necessarily as much in the cross rates, but once again, you can catch us here on the European crossover webinars at 4 a.m. Eastern daily, and you can try a 10-day trial with the ForexAnalytix for $1. Give you a chance to go on and look around the site, check out not only the mobile apps, but also the different analysis as well as the chat room. That's all we have for today. Good luck trading on a relatively quiet week. It's already started out that way. And of course, we have Labor Day holiday, so it's going to be a 3-day weekend for those of us here in the States. But thanks for joining us here, and we'll catch you all tomorrow.